Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Trump tariffs, the import tariffs that Trump has been looking to enact on various foreign nations. And I'm going to talk about the implications that these tariffs have on the US economy, on the global economy, and also on the relations between the US and those various foreign nations, right? So these tariffs were actually meant to go into effect February 4th, which was a few days ago, but they delayed them, and I think they delayed them for a month. They're gonna talk about them and hopefully figure something out. But again, I want to talk about the implications of these tariffs. So to do that, I'm going to use a simple example. So Canada is one of the nations that Trump is looking to enact these tariffs on. So he's looking to enact a 25% tariff on Canadian imports, many Canadian imports. And there's actually a list online of all the various imports that these tariffs apply to if you want to check that out. It's a very long list. And on that list is maple syrup, right? So everyone knows Canada's known for making maple syrup. There's a maple leaf on their flag, right? Canada makes so much maple syrup that they are the number one exporter in the world of maple syrup. And alongside that, the United States is the number one importer of maple syrup. So, bottom line, the United States eats a lot of maple syrup. They eat a lot of Canadian maple syrup. You could say we are dependent on Canadian maple syrup, right? So, what's going to happen if we implement a 25% tariff on Canadian maple syrup? Well, the Canadian maple syrup manufacturers are going to have to pay an extra 25 cents for every dollar of maple syrup that crosses the border. Where are they going to get that 25 cents? Well, they're not just going to take it out of their own pockets, right? They're probably operating on slim margins as it is, so they can't just simply eat that cost. So what they're going to do is they're going to get that 25 cents from the only place they can get it. They're going to increase the price of maple syrup. It's called inflation, right? We know this. Now, where is that inflation going to occur? Well, it's not going to occur in Canada, right? They're not going to make Canadians pay for the United States tariff. What they're going to do is they're going to increase the price of maple syrup, of Canadian maple syrup that is sold in the United States, right? So, in other words, American consumers are going to eat the price of that tariff. They're going to pay for the tariff. The consumers always pay for the tariff. That's how this works. So, again, that quarter, that extra 25% is going to go. It's going to come from your wallet as the American consumer. Is going to go to the Canadian manufacturer of maple syrup, and then it's going to go back to the U.S. government in the form of that tariff, right? So again, tariffs cause inflation. You can see that happens all the time. So what we have to think about is what happens next, okay? So that's the first step. That's what happens in the short term. What happens next? Well, what's going to happen next is the American consumers are going to respond. They're going to catch on to that more expensive Canadian maple syrup, and they're just going to stop buying it. They're going to buy more domestically manufactured maple syrup. They're going to buy more maple syrup made in the United States. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but again, we have to consider the effects that it has on Canada and the United States, right? So, in the United States, this is going to actually create more jobs in kind of the medium term, right? Because we're going to now be manufacturing more maple syrup. We're going to have more maple syrup manufacturers, more maple syrup labor, right? And in contrary to that, in Canada, again, Canada is now selling less maple syrup to the U.S., so they're going to lose some jobs, right? That's going to hurt the Canadian economy. It's going to kind of help the U.S. economy, at least in the medium term, right? And we have to understand that it's that tariffs can be good. They can make us more independent from foreign nations in the medium term, but there's something that happens after that, okay? And this is kind of what I say is the long term. What is the long term effect of this tariff? Well, the long term is that foreign nations, foreign trade partners, are just kind of lose faith in the unstable U.S. trade relations, right? They're going to see that we are a bad trade partner. They're going to kind of leave us, right? They're not going to, if we keep implementing tariffs against them, they're going to get sick of us and they're going to stop trading with us. Now, this, again, what it can do is it can make the United States more independent, but it can also lead to like a scarcity of various goods and services, right? Because what if we don't have enough maples? What if we don't have enough maple trees in the United States? In other words, there are some natural resources that are exclusive to certain nations or certain regions of the world. And if we isolate ourselves from those nations, we isolate ourselves from access to the natural resources. That's not good. This will cause stagnation in the long term, right? We will stagnate our ability to grow our economy if we are not taking in other natural resources that other nations have access to. This could lead to a stagnation of standard of living, right? What if some nation is mining silicon and we put a bunch of tariffs on that nation? All of a sudden, we don't have computer chips. It's not good, right? So again, there's a lot of nuance here. In the short term, we see inflation. In the medium term, we may even see a benefit as the nation implementing the tariffs. But in the long term, we are just destroying our relationship with these other nations. It's not good, right? These trade wars like this, these trade sanctions and stuff, these trade tariffs, they lead to potential war, real war, right? Violent war. We don't want that, right? So what can Americans do to diminish the possibility of this war and this stagnation? Well, the obvious answer is don't implement the tariffs, right? But more broadly, we can kind of learn this, right? And learn lessons from this. We can use this as an opportunity to see what happens when you treat other nations poorly like this, when you treat global trade partners with impunity. There's kind of a silver lining, right? It's like we can use this mistake as an opportunity to learn. And you might not see that silver lining. You might think it's better to just not make the mistake in the first place. But the truth is that sometimes hardship is required to learn lessons, right? Sometimes you have to make the mistake before you realize you made a mistake. Sometimes you have to elect somebody who is economically illiterate before you realize what economic literacy actually is. So I'm a person that tends to look at the bright side of things in that light. These tariffs offer an opportunity for us to learn from our mistakes. So thanks for watching.